Hey, welcome to Dunrovin. It looks like we're going to be doing some bird purchase for you today. We're going to be doing a little bit of welding, cutting, plasma cutting, grinding, stuff like that, just a little bit of the fabrication side. So we'll be explaining that as we go. And looks like the first thing that we have to do today is we'll cut this piece of 2.5-inch square tubing. We're going to cut it in half with the plasma cutter, so we're going to mark that out with Sean right now. Now this square tubing, this is going to be cast into the concrete and act as a sleeve so that we'll put these 40-foot tall 2-inch square tubing. It's going to fit down right inside of it, and it'll be a good base for us to mount all this on. But we got the welding machine out here, we've got a plasma cutter out here, air compressor, all that jazz. Should be a good little go-to. Just don't drop it, bud.
Ooh.
So all he's doing is marking the halfway point on this piece of steel square tubing so we can fire the plasma cutter up and cut it right in half.
You cut it up there?
Yeah, I'll cut it up there. You want to do it?
Yeah, you can do it.
All right. You want to explain to them how a plasma cutter works?
Okay, so the plasma cutter here.
Look at the camera.
Sorry. Plasma cutter.
Yes.
Basically, it takes an electrical arc and compressed air. We have a little compressor there. And then about 50 psi, it pushes the arc and it gets so hot that it becomes plasma, which cuts through the metal. So basically, it's a very simple process. Electricity and air is all it is.
Yeah, good deal.
Pretty cool to watch. So.
It's a lot cleaner, a lot less loud than using grinding discs and all that jazz. You get a good clean cut. So there's very little prep work involved and all that. It's pretty nice. All right, we all good to go?
Yep.
Yeah. One more cut to make. There we go. Wait for that air compressor to kick off. There we go, got the air compressor kicked off. But yeah, so plasma cutter, that's probably about, I don't know, 25-30 minutes worth of cutting it with a grinding wheel, or, you know, a minute and a half using a plasma cutter. So it's a nice little tool to have. It's quick, it's clean, it's a lot less loud. The other thing that we got to cut out, we're cutting out some 2-inch and 2.5-inch squares out of this 1/8-inch plate, and that'll just act as a cover, so when we cast it in the concrete, we don't have a bunch of concrete going up in the tube messing up our depths. So we'll cut those squares out right now, get it prepped to weld on. You want to cut them ones out?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sean will cut those out for me.
Wood catching.
What's that?
Burning the wood there.
Oh yeah, it's all good. Yeah, and all this stuff's just plugged into regular outlets around the house, so it's nothing too crazy or industrial. It's pretty nice to have.
The little one.
Almost done. We got 2 more cuts. Oh, little boy. Hey, Arrow. All right. I'm gonna turn off the air compressor though. I think we should be done about plasma cutting today, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but all that came, we got this little backpack rig right here. So, weighs about 30 pounds. It's nice, it's handy. It's good on the job. So, what we're gonna do next is we're gonna prep out these, do a little bit of grinding, and we'll weld them onto the bottom of here. Like we said, so that concrete doesn't come up through the bottom. So we'll fire up the welding machine and we'll do that. What we're gonna do for welding today is just regular old MIG welding, also known as gas metal arc welding. It takes a spool of wire that's in here. Put my welding hood on. So the way it works, it's got a spool of wire, it goes in there and it goes through this gun, also known as a whip. It comes out and it's pretty much the same thing as really, really thin coat wire. And it comes out through electricity, it just melts the metal all together. It's one of the strongest, easiest welding processes there is. And then you use a mix of CO2 and argon gas. That prevents it from reacting with oxygen, and your weld will fill up with all these holes called porosity, and it won't be any good. So you just gotta have a bottle of inert gas, so CO2 and argon is what we're using, and we'll just weld it on here and it should be pretty good. It's easy, it's fast, and it's a pretty strong welding process for what we're doing. Nothing crazy. Let's do that. And the same thing, you gotta have a ground that completes the circuit while you're welding. So you just put a ground to your workpiece, and then we'll tack these little pieces on there and weld it out. Where's my MIG pliers at, bud?
I think they're in the bucket.
There.
Nope.
Grab my tools out over here. like I said, and then this wire that we're using, you can use a bunch of different size wires and thicknesses and all that jazz. We're just using a 0.35 diameter wire. It's about all we need. All right, so she should be good. Just pop that on the end over there. And we shouldn't need any prep work. I'm gonna get Sean to come over here and hold this little piece of metal. There we go. And I'm gonna tack weld it on there first, and all a tack weld is just a small little weld to keep the metal in place. All right. And just like that, weld it all up. Now when you're welding, there's a million different ways to weld, and everybody's got their own style, but all I'm doing here is taking the tip of this wire, not sure if you can see that, and I'm taking it, I'm holding it at about a 30-degree angle and slightly pushed forward, and I'm just dragging it towards myself here, and that gives me some good penetration, so it's going to be a strong, solid weld. All right, so we got, what's up?
That's good.
Oh, thank you. Switch that ground over, will you? And we'll grind this up when it's done. Make it a little bit more smooth. That's good. All right. And another good thing about MIG welding is, MIG welding, you can weld downhill with it, so you can run beads down, you can weld up with it, you can go upside down. It can weld in all positions, so it's really user-friendly when you're doing small little metal like this. All right, so we got those knocked out. It's not too shabby. We'll go and we'll weld it on here, and this is just pretty much the same thing. We're gonna weld it at the top of these 40-foot 2-inch beams, so they don't fill up with water when they're standing up there, and get a little bit more life out of it. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to weld this little spare piece of metal we have so we have a place to put our ground. Probably help if I put the ground on first. You hold that for me? Yeah. we'll just break that off later and grind it flush. Shouldn't be too bad, but the wind's picking up, so we might not be able to weld this whole thing out. What happens when the wind starts blowing and you're using this process is it's going to blow away your shielding gas, and it's going to fill up with those holes like I told you about and pretty much be garbage weld. So, but we can put a little tack on there and get them in place. How you doing, Kelly?
You mic'd up on camera?
Yeah.
Oh, you still saying hi to me?
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say nice hat.
No, thanks. These called welding hoods. All right, so we're done with that one. We'll move this over here. Let's get my hammer. Thank you, sir. I got a buddy of mine from West Texas. He made me this hammer. It's out of naval steel, or it's naval brass, and then a piece of stainless steel on the handle. He's a machinist, and yeah, he made that by hand, so it's pretty cool. All right. Sometimes when you got your whip or your gun, that's what it's called, it'll get kinked up and the wire won't want to go out of it. So you just got to straighten her out, clip your wire, and go back at it. And that'll do it for right now. We'll turn that off. Another thing that we're going to do for the top of these bird perches is we just got this regular old cold rolled steel. We're going to mark it out and we're going to weld these on right here. And these are just going to be the stiffener support for the outside branches that Harriet and hopefully a bunch of other birds of prey we're going to use. So should look good. And then we're also going to have a facade of, back at the shop we got a bunch of wood, and we're going to cover this whole outside about 3 feet, 4 feet from the top of it. We're going to put a bunch of bark out here, make it look real. So I think that'll add a nice touch. Yeah, so
Half an inch, or?
Yeah, let's mark it off. We're gonna, from top of steel, we're gonna mark 1 inch down, center it on here. We're gonna fit these on, make sure they're nice and square. A little bit of fitting work. And yeah, we'll do that, and then we'll epoxy these over the top of it, use PC7 or something like that, and birds won't be able to pick and eat at, so that'd be good.
You want 1 inch off the...
Yeah, that's fine.
That's good.
Okay. And it's just 3/8 steel. I think it should be plenty for a 3 to 5 pound bird. Do that.
You grind this at all? You good?
No, it'll be good. And what we're gonna do for this fit, make sure it's a nice strong weld, is we're actually gonna leave a gap on there so you get some more penetration. So what Sean will be doing while he's helping me fit this up is he'll hold it just at an angle like this. So pretty much like this. We'll hold it at a big angle. I'll put a tack on this side that has the gap. And then when we lift it back up, the whole thing will be above the pipe. That way we can get a good strong weld in there, a lot of penetration, and it'll last a lot longer that way.
Let's start on this guy.
Yeah, and that way be good. Just make sure she's nice and square.
This way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Left and rights. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Let's bring her up a little bit, right about there. Then we can push that back up straight while the metal's still warm. Oh, too much. You're gonna have that. Go like that, and we got a couple levels and squares that we're gonna use. Make sure it's nice and square. A little bit more.
I have a square.
I don't think we have one.
Huh?
Did we bring one?
Square.
Okay. Just keep on tapping it. Will you hand me those MIG pliers? That's actually pretty good. Here we go. And you can use all the tools in the world, but if it doesn't look right, then it's not right. Pretty good. So it looks like we got a pretty good square going left and right. Now we're going to make sure that we got a square going back and forth. So with that, we'll just line up a square over here. Like that. And we'll just pull it. And just give it a nice little tap. A little bit more. And a good little tip is if you are ever welding, you know anybody that welds, when you got a piece and you're trying to make it square and you're about to weld it again, like I don't want it to be perfectly square because when I weld it, that heat's going to cause it to pull into the weld. So if I get it perfectly square and I weld right here, well, it's going to naturally pull it away. So you want to leave it a little bit out of square and let that weld pull it straight. We'll just tap a little tack on this side. And there we go. We got the first one done.
That's good.
That's pretty good. So we'll just roll this baby over and we'll do the other side.
And move it that way a little.
And just to let you guys know, we did use different size pieces of square tube or round bar, so you can tell they're different lengths. Well, when we were cutting up the wood, a lot of them had curves in it and give it that natural look, so they all didn't come out the same size, and I thought it'd make it look a little bit better doing it that way, so we didn't just pull bad measurements. Pretty much we'll do the same thing. We go 1 inch down, centered on the bar. Get on the front side here. We're gonna block your view for a little bit so you can get a better view fitting. That way we can just make sure it looks a little bit more centered when the bird's on it. Like that, look pretty good and lined up?
Yeah.
All right, pull it now. The key to moving it back straight is you want that metal to be hot so it doesn't crack like last time. All right, we can put that square on there. Look at that, pretty close. Not bad. As far as side to side goes, looks like it's leaning a little bit. Oh, that's way too much. You guys should have told me to stop. I can work with that. Got a good little goober on there. That one's gonna go on the short side.
Right,
I'll put it on.
Now?
Yeah, I'll put it on. We'll do that. So it looks like we're gonna be taking these off, so we're not gonna epoxy them on there right now, because we're gonna have that facade on the top like we were talking about.
Yeah.
So there we go. It should give it a good natural look once we put it all together. The other one's got a little bit more branches on the end of it, so I think it'll look pretty good. I like it. Kind of looks like a tree. Let's do the next one. I really dig these. I think these are pretty cool. I'll just set them over here. Yeah. Where'd that hammer go? Might have put too good a weld on there. There we go.
Whoops.
It's all right. Turn my welding machine off. All right. All right, we got that ground on. You got enough room to work?
Yeah.
Right. Blocking your view for a second again, we'll be out of the way. Let's get it. Right like that. Just about like that. Right. Okay. Okay. Looks like the wind stopped blowing, so I'll go ahead and weld up the rest of this cap too. All right, we can roll it. Scoot it towards me a little bit if we can. All right. All right, we got this last one to do, and we should have these, well, I think we should have these installed in Dunrovin this weekend. Should be up, ready to go. I'm pretty excited about it. It's gonna be big old bird perch, so hopefully the birds like it as much as everybody else does. Careful, that's hot.
It is hot. Jeepers.
That was a farrier, he's leaving today. Yeah, and just try to match this bottom up with where this one goes through it. All right. Look at that, it's almost right on the money already. Oh, all right. Pop the weld off. All right. All right. I think we got that knocked out for today.
That's
Yeah, it's a little guy. There we go.
that one looks cool.
So I think that's looking pretty good. And we'll adjust this and we'll have the rest of the facade over before we install it. That's still a little hot to burn the wood. But yeah, that's about all we had to do today. We're gonna go dig some holes, and I think you guys have something better to do than watch us dig a hole out here. Dig a hole, we'll set some concrete, and yeah, hopefully have all these installed this weekend. But I know here at Dunrovin, we'd like you guys to have some input when we're designing this bird bath. So if you have any ideas, I think you should email it to Suzanne or Kelly or let us know and get some good thoughts on that. I think it'd be something really fun. And hopefully we'll have that done in a couple months here, but that's all we got to take care of today. So we'll see you next time. And go tell James.